Hi, listener. This is From Ideology to Unity, a spiritual journey where we let go of ideological doctrine and ego in favor of meaning, purpose, and unity as a whole. Today, I'm interviewing Jacquie Petch Capstick from the podcast The Natural Healing Wheel, which, as you can imagine, focuses on natural healing approaches, usually not mainstream. She makes it clear that natural healing saved her life and aspires to help others based on what she has learned about it. She has a podcast, a YouTube channel, a blog, and does coaching. And I'll have details on that in the description. So, hi, Jacquie. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, same. Your podcast looked interesting. So,
Yeah, I think it is. I think that just the continual journey of meeting people and all the healing modalities that are out there is fascinating to me. So, as I'm learning, I just want to share what I'm learning with people that don't know, like I didn't know. So, yeah, that's kind
so
of my mission.
okay. So, what's the story behind your mission?
Oh, it's a big story. I I've always been on the spiritual, I guess is what you would call it, path. Growing up in a house, I was the youngest of what turned out to be seven children, but five that I knew of growing up. Um, my parents were workaholics. My dad was a jazz pianist, so they worked all day. My mom was the booking agent, and then at night they were out at night. So I was a young girl seeing spirits and feeling all kinds of energies in the house, and I would share it with my sisters, but of course they would laugh at me. And so then I just kept it to myself until I was older and started to hear other people sharing that they've had similar experiences because um, I didn't like being ridiculed about it.
What experiences had
So,
you had?
well, my mom, when I was five, she had a kidney transplant and we were told that she wasn't going to make it. By the time she had passed, she was on her third cat. I'll just tell you that. They declared her dead throughout my life, like so many times. She was very from England. She grew up in Manchester, and the war, her house was bombed, and so I have to come to England. Looking forward to graduation to see England. But I would, I woke up, my bed looked at her. I was a little mommy's girl and had lots of daddy issues. My dad was very, um, we didn't like each other, let's say. I was a little whiny child crying, and he just didn't have the patience. And as an adult, I get that now. But when you're a little one, it's scary, right? And yeah. So, anyways, I woke up one night, and about a month later, my mom came home with white hair and about 90 pounds. So she did make it through what she wasn't supposed to. And I awoken in the night to see three incredible spirits above her bed, which it seemed to me that I could see it as clear as day. It was like there was one bringing the two. It was kind of see through, but there was like some color and like there was form, but there was, yeah, I could probably draw it, but hard to explain.
Okay.
And the one said to me, "Shh, we won't hurt her." And as a little girl, I rocked myself to sleep. And anyways, I could feel energies in the house. I think our house was I think it was haunted or somebody must have, anyways, there was energies in that house that were very uncomfortable that I didn't understand. And so as a little girl, I just slept with the light on and had trouble sleeping. And that kind of followed me through my whole life as just kind of learning and understanding that we are energy and that we're eternal, and having the understanding, like the science behind it has been kind of my gift. And especially to date, because what the science is coming up with, so it's moving so rapidly that they're proving through science the energies and the eternalness and historically, you know, everything that's happening. So I think having that knowledge has made all of the difference to me. But I want to share that knowledge with other people because it's not something that we've been taught. Where most people don't believe that that happens or that that's a thing because they've never experienced it.
And we've been
You know,
taught
if you
that
don't
it's just
see-
unscientific nonsense, right?
right, yeah, just laughed at, kind of, right? But I understand that if you've never experienced it and somebody's saying that to you. And so it's something that you just don't talk about. And I'm sure others, well, I know it's more coming into the mainstream now, but we are these powerful beings and we don't understand how to work any of our body, our mind, we've not been taught any of that. We've been taught ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, but what's not being taught is the laws, the universal laws of energy, and how we can create and not be a victim to the lower energies that we're attracting, because we've got these lower thoughts in the subconscious mind, which, well, they say that it's just patterns that we watched our parents up until we were 7. So we kind of then look at the outside world with that as our foundation, which is kind of scary for me.
That is
Because there
happening
was,
so much in our world, attracting lower energies.
well, the energies, well, and so Greg Braden, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but I found him on Gaia a few years back, right? So we lost our oldest daughter just coming up 3 years ago in January 13th. And she left behind 2 little girls, a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old, both having different fathers. And I have 5 girls. So starting, there's this big gap. So every 9 years I had another child. It was totally planned, of course, right? Until I ran out of time, and then the last 2 or 2.5 years, 11 and 13. And now I have a 3-year-old because the littlest one, she was 3 months when her mom passed, and the dad the DNA came back negative. So we don't know who the dad is. And at that point, it was a blessing because we were just going to go through the courts for a week on her last, with the father to the first child. So just messy and not a good thing going on there. So yeah, just there was just this big pile up of trauma. So at the same time, my sister, that my dad had passed, and then we found out that my sister she was doing her thing, right? The woman, while my sister was traveling to look after my dad, and anyways, it was one of those things, right? So maybe, you know, their journey had come to an end, but that's never comfortable for anybody. So anyways, a couple months after my dad and her marriage falling apart, she finds out that she has stage 4 throat cancer. So the day that my daughter passed, she was getting a tracheotomy put in and was at my house because she couldn't breathe. So she was doing the Darth Vader in my living room. And I had my other daughter where we were going to go to court for a week, starting in a couple of days. And then she was 10 at the time, she's 13 now, she was born 3 months early and has a diagnosis under cerebral palsy of spastic diplegia, meaning that I went into labor at 26 weeks. I was in labor for 9 days. She ended up starting to come out breech without them knowing. Emergency C-section, they had to pull her back through. They couldn't get her oxygen. They couldn't get her to breathe right away. So that damaged the brain, and that was telling the muscles in the legs to stay spastic. So she'd walk with her heels up, and she couldn't do the things that little children do, like sit up straight and crawl and all of those things. So it was a lifetime of, dealing with that. And she's very, very high functioning and this beautiful, bright light. Like everybody that meets her would be like, they think that it's just them that has the connection, but every single person that meets her is touched by her because she's like a bright light of sun,
Is she
So,
like an indigo child or something?
I think that the last two are for sure. I was reading up about the indigo children because they're definitely old souls, and it's interesting, the little ones that are coming in now. They're coming in, so like the 3-year-old, she's like Buddha, this little one. But her and I healed each other for sure. We ended up adopting her because she had nobody. But it was the 10-year-old. My 10-year-old Kennedy was like, "Mom, we need to adopt her, and she needs to be my sister, because when she goes to school, and if they say, where's your mom and dad, and she's going to say she doesn't have one, and then her only sister, she doesn't get to see." So I haven't seen just because it's a very toxic, destructive relationship and lots of game playing. And so we've kind of put that to bed for the time, but it's her only sister, half sister. So there's all of this dynamics that's happening all at once, of course. And to start it, I ended up falling off a swing head first, feet flying in the air. A swing broke and I landed into the cement with full force on my head. And so I started all of this with a very bad concussion that I didn't deal with and didn't really know what I was dealing with. But it's definitely been really affected my life, my eyesight, my thoughts, anxiety has gone. Anyways, it's a lot better, but it was a very scary place to be because you don't know where the bottom is with a concussion. Have you had one before?
I don't think so, but I don't know for sure that I haven't had it.
Yeah.
Someone close to me has had concussion, and it's like they were slow for a couple of days. It was worrying because I didn't know if it was going to end.
Yeah. Yeah. And so one of my daughters, she played hockey and rugby, and she got a very bad concussion playing hockey. And if you don't know, if you don't have experienced it, right? When I got my concussion, I was sick in my stomach because for 2 weeks she was in a dark room, no TV, no phone, no anything, just a dark room because it was so bad, because the lights, you can't see through the lights, everything's clamoring in your head. And anyways, it's if you've had one. And my husband, he's had probably many, but you just get up and go. I couldn't just get up and go with this one. It was very debilitating in so many ways. But anyways, I didn't have the energy or the wherewithal at that point with everything else that was happening to deal with myself, I guess, on that level at that point. But looking back, I see how damaging that was with all of the other energies of that same similar lower energies coming at me, right? Because
So
I was in the field.
how did you get out of that state, that position?
Yeah, so I was, all right, so my daughter, the 10-year-old, it gets worse. The 10-year-old, she grows that summer. Grows tall like me with long legs, which is usually a great thing for a girl, right? Well, she couldn't stand up. She was in a crouched position because the brain wouldn't release the muscles in her legs. And she was in pain 24/7. And there was nothing. I mean, I did every healing natural modality for her, of course, anything that I could find to help her, aid her pain, because she couldn't walk anymore. She could go into school. They weren't prepared for her because she had to come in a wheelchair now. And it was, yeah, I had to, pick her up to get in the car and out the car. God bless those families that have children like that, because I'm telling you what, it is not just emotionally exhausting, physically exhausting. It just wears on. It's just such a. It's tough.
And you
It's a
did that with
tough.
concussion.
Yes, and all of these other situations that were happening. I was supporting my sister because she was alone.
Well done for getting through all of it.
Pardon?
Well done for getting through all of it.
I didn't hear you.
Well done for getting through all of it.
For some reason, I'm not understanding. It's probably your accent and then a little bit of the speaker. Something about getting through. Say one more time.
Well done for getting through all of it.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay, I got you that too. So that's embarrassing. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, anyways, we 6 months, nothing, and so we were told they were just going to do surgery after surgery to lengthen her muscles. She'd already had Botox every 6 months, casting to keep the muscles, trying to stretch the muscle. Anyways, it'd been a lifetime of this, and I didn't feel that they were addressing the root problem. After 6 months, now they wanted to do knee surgery because her knees were gone from them leaving her in a crouched position for 6 months. And anyways, I was just sick about it. My husband found, of course, we're both searching, and when she was born, my husband had this flash of seeing a tall blonde girl running. He goes, "What was that?" What he goes, when they said, "I feel body parts coming out," he had this vision of this beautiful tall girl running. And after I said, "You know what? That was to let you know that she was going to run, to give you, that was your gift from God, source, divine, to let you know she's going to run." So have that, keep that vision. And she runs now. We were shamed by the head of Vancouver Children's Hospital because we found a surgery called SDR, and Dr. Parks has revolutionized this surgery, and he is he's given more than 4,000 families their life back.
So what is this? What's different about the surgery?
So it's called selective dorsal rhizotomy. And like any surgery you have is going to be dangerous, right? They're opening up the back. And what they did was, on the left side, they opened it up and there's all the nerves. They laid them out and they tested from the brain to see the nerves, which ones weren't firing properly. And they severed all of the nerves on the left side, which I believe were 22. Her left side was the worst. And then the right side, 19, right? That were being sent the wrong message. And then she had to create new neural pathways to walk again and to, just bend her leg up, because
with the existing nerves, the few that are left.
Yeah. So our bodies are these incredible things, right? Which we're learning more and more, right?
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So it's trusting the body to adapt rather than trying to force it.
Yeah. So when they were doing physiotherapy, it was incredible to watch because, you're lifting, she'd bend on her tummy, right? She'd bend her leg to go up and they'd be like, "Okay, now pull your leg up." Well, she couldn't. And they're like, yeah, you can. And you could watch it. It was like, and all of a sudden, click. And it would, now she had a new neural pathway and created that new area for her leg to bend in that way. So they taught her. We stayed in St. Louis for a month. Dr. Parks and then Dr. Dobbs had to do another lengthening because she was in a crouched position. She no longer has a diagnosis anymore, but we were shamed. We were in Vancouver hospital because we do it here. We had to go to the US and it was $100,000 for us to I would give my last piece of clothing for her to have this. I researched it. I watched every video, everything. I knew with every cell of my being that this was her healing. And even though it was the path that was not traveled, especially in Canada, they only give it to the very extreme cerebral palsy people. And he said it's for when they're just so tight that they then can't, like they can't change their diaper for them anymore because they're just so spastic. Well, Dr. Parks, when I explained that to them, I said, I say your name and everybody goes, oh, they all have this look on their face. I'm like, what is that? But he's revolutionized it. He's a leader and he's like he's traveled the world. He's given children all over the world a life so they can walk and run by doing this surgery. And Dr. Dobbs does the lengthening of, so the two of them, they're a team. The physiotherapy team taught her how to walk again. She runs, she can sit up tall, she swims, she ran the Terry Fox run and went around the school, did the laps for the first time with the friends. Normally I go with her. So I showed up at the school and I couldn't find her. No, she was on her third lap with her friends, because the kids, when they're younger, they don't wait. They don't have that consciousness. They want to go. So she was always on her own. She was always alone. And here's this beautiful, I mean, she's beautiful. She lights up a room when she walks in and she's, alone, no friends, because she's different. And it's been an incredible journey, but she is this wise soul. And we explained that you have to now see yourself not as this, but as how you are going to be, because we're in a pattern, like we were saying earlier, these patterns that we're not aware of that get passed down, and then by the time we're 7, we're locked into these, and it's in our subconscious mind. So that, what are this, 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day of I can't do this and I can't do that and blah 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 blah. Whatever she had experienced to then, she had to reprogram.
Are you teaching the law of attraction?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay, that's Age of Aquarius upbringing, right? That's the future.
I've got my children, what they say to me, Mom, don't say that. If I'm like, I'm tired today. Okay, well, you're going to be tired all day if you say that. Or they give it to me.
No, they do it to you.
It's great. It's fabulous. Right. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to write a book about it. There's a lot of families that don't know and are struggling out there, and they could have the freedom, which is what it is. It's freedom it's freedom to not be in, it's like being in a box, and she's out of it, and our family's out of it. And, she's learning how to surf this summer behind the boat and, ski, and she is able to do, she works out and does Pilates and CrossFit. And it's just, if you were to see her before, her gait wasn't proper, and she, in dance class, would go to the right, but couldn't go to the left the same way.
Right. Yeah,
she does her TikTok dances and both sides work now.
Well, it's inspirational. It really is. So
yeah.
You've done a lot of research into natural healing, right? So
yeah,
So you talk about on your website, you talk about universal energy systems. What does this involve?
So I've learned, so anyways, 3 years ago, I hit hard, obviously, and I ended up spending a lot of time in my ensuite bathroom because I could close the door and it felt safe there. And I watched YouTube and read and meditated and did whatever I could to try and heal myself because I could see what was happening to my children. They'd lost their mom. And I just wasn't there, right? So I know that you have to do it for yourself, but I had to do it I was doing it for my kids at that point because they'd already lost their sister and Maya, and we had all the time. She was 2 at the time, and anyways, and my sister, and it was just like this big pile up of a couple of friends. My other daughter, she was 19 at the time. Her best friend that she played hockey with and took the bus to school with, he drowned a couple months after her sister. Jumped in a glacier lake. His boat got away. They were hiking and his boat left and just not thinking, he jumped in and he never came up. So it was like my dad, my daughter, my granddaughter, my daughter's best friend, and then 2 longtime friends. Like it was just like all in a year, right? Anyways, I found through Brian Rose, watching Leonard Real, he interviewed Joe Dispenza. I'd never seen it. I'd never heard of him before. I was a Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay. I taught my oldest daughter who had passed. She had troubles feeling love. So I would do mirror work, Louise Hay mirror work with her since she was 5. And anyways, it's been a lifelong journey. But the universal energies that I learned through Joe Dispenza, he's a doctor, he's a scientist, he's on the cutting edge, and he healed himself. He's been paralyzed from a triathlon bike accident. I don't know if you know his story, but I listened to his story, and if somebody else can do it, then you can do it, right? And that's why I think it's important for us to share, is because there's other people that are having traumas that they need to know that maybe they're not having the support in their family or around them, but that if there's somebody that can share how and what they did, then it helps us to know that we can too, right? It's like the 4-minute mile,
I could do
Joel
that.
says. And then after that, it's like everybody was doing the 4-minute mile.
So
right?
what is it exactly? Because I feel like anyone who's got most people or a lot of people have some sort of serious ailment or something, or genetic disease or whatever. So what exactly is this, to put it simply?
So it's meditation, it's breath. So he explains all the different energies. And so some people call them chakras.
What is it called?
Calls
His meditation. What's it called?
He's got many meditations, but tuning into new potentials is one of my favorites.
New potentials.
Tuning into new potentials.
On Gaia.
Yeah, so on Gaia, it's called Rewired. He's got a phenomenal series. And and it's all scientifically based, so it's not woo-woo, which is so great, because the stuff that I've believed in my whole life that people were like, is now, this is truth. Like, this is back, this is science. And so don't look at me like it's woo-woo. This is how we function. And we all need to know this, so that we can function properly, right? Like, we are these amazing, powerful beings, and we don't know. We don't know how to. Did you know that you have 70,000 thoughts a day?
Well, I don't know. I feel like maybe I have more than that. I mean,
me too. but that's a lot of thoughts if you think about it every day.
Thoughts are actually not I used to think thinking was a good thing, and I suppose it kind of is in some ways, but we think way too much in a way. It's liberating not to think as much.
Well, and so if we
Wish I
were
thought
in
less.
charge of our thoughts, if we were to use if we were to be using our mind and intentionally, that's what this is.
So there's
It's
ego
about
thoughts, and then there's higher thoughts.
so he explains the different energy centers. So
Ah, right.
yoga calls it like chakras, right? So there's
Chakras.
your root chakra. So in the lower centers,
There are
um,
three.
right, is where like so the second chakra,
Red ray,
uh,
yellow. No, red ray, orange ray, and yellow ray.
red, orange, yellow is their solar plex. The heart chakra, once we start intending from the heart chakra, so they found out that the heart has a brain a year ago. A year ago, we found out that the heart has a brain.
Right.
So they have found out that through heart math, which is another, um, so it's about connecting your heart to your head, to your thoughts. And exactly what you're saying is to stop the patterns that we're unconscious of, because a lot of the thoughts that we're having are very destructive thoughts that we're unaware of. They're our small perception of how we're taking in the world, right? And everybody's seeing it differently based on their upbringing and their insecurities, and right. And so, but we'll attract, so the universal laws, you attract where you're at. What you say, you get. What you're thinking about, you creates an energy, it creates an emotion, right? So thoughts are, um, he just explains it so well, that you have the thought, and then with the thought then comes the emotion, right? So if you're thinking about something, then all of a sudden, if you think about it, I'll start feeling it in your body,
Then you get
right? And
beliefs from that.
what's that?
If I it seems what you're saying is you start with the thought, then you get emotion, then you get beliefs, and then it sort of feeds back into itself, and then you get actions, and then you get results, and then the whole thing cycles round.
Right. But none of us are in charge of our thoughts a lot of
We
times.
think we are. We think we are. A lot of people, especially atheists, think they identify with the thoughts,
Yeah.
so they think that they are their ego, but they're not. And when you discover you're not, that when you really discover in a tangible way, where you actually experience unwanted thoughts, that tells you, well, they're not you. But we can have thoughts that are ours, right? And that's heart chakra thoughts, basically. Am I correct?
Yes, yes. So
Right.
what they're explaining is, if you are wanting to create, you're wanting to manifest, right, your future. So usually the subconscious are stories of patterns that could be generations old, that we perceived as children, that somebody told us, that once we heard it and it's in our head, we believe it's true. We've not gone back and checked our beliefs, our values, our stories that are running all day like this. And once you stop, and well, I mean, it took me that to really stop. I've been on this journey for a good part of my life, but this part, I wasn't functioning anymore. Like I wasn't able to cook, or I was in overwhelm and shock, and yeah, it was, anyways. So I needed to do something so I could function properly, because you know how you are normally, and now all of a sudden I'm not there. And so then that's depressing. And then so through Joe's work, he explains, right? So they take the breath from the root chakra and you pull it all the way up through the energy centers. And in the head, we have the pineal gland. And in there is what looks like the pine cone that is calcified over. They believe it's probably from fluoride or that kind of stuff,
Right.
because for centuries, they had use of their pineal gland. That is where our natural pharmacy is. That is where the good stuff is for us to live and function as we are to be functioning here. But none of us are really aware of any of it because we're not educated in it, first of all. Like even the basics of law of attraction. We understand it, we've heard it. I didn't even heard it. But are you really thinking it and using it for your, because it's happening all day. So you have a negative thought, you're going to get more negative. You have a positive thought, gratitude, whether you like it or not, and you're feeling good, you're getting more of that.
You know, it takes
right?
practice.
If you're telling a story and judging someone, you're gonna that's more than that. Sorry.
Well, actually, it's a good thing that you carried on because just because I know about it doesn't mean that someone listening to this knows about it. Yeah, but I find that like you can know about the law of attraction, but it really takes practice to actually apply it because you can know about it while still doing everything wrong if you're going through a lot, right?
Absolutely.
Or if you're not
and so that's what I found out. I've known this stuff for my whole life, but I wasn't truly living it. So, and that's what Joe says. It's not enough to know. You need to know how now. And I was like, that really rang true to me because I know all that work. I didn't grow up with any religion. I'm very ignorant to all of that. My parents had bad experiences apparently that they never shared with us. And so I'd pick up a Wayne Dyer book and I'd just open it anywhere. And I'd read a paragraph, which it took me a while to understand energies and all what he was saying. But when you absorbed it, it was like putting this huge food of vitamins and everything.
Who is this?
Into your body. Wayne Dyer. He passed away now, but he was, oh my goodness, he was an amazing teacher. And I go back and listen to his stuff, and he was teaching this stuff way back. Which is, it's just funny what you hear when you're ready for it, right? You hear something or you watch something. Next time you watch it, it's like you've never watched it because you hear it totally different because you're in a different space, right?
Yeah, you're in a different energy, or sometimes things line up with synchronicity as well. When you're ready, everything lines up. But also, I've got this impression that this karmic wheel, right? When you're stuck in ego anyway, it's self-esteem. So that things might line up a bit in your favor, but if you've been doing negative things or whatever, it's like suddenly everything's crashing down. But every time that happens, you have the opportunity to actually to do it different next time, to learn the lessons, to go in a new path. But we don't know this a lot of the time. But if we do, I get the impression that you might be able to have something like either a dark night of the soul or something negative and difficult every time it comes down. And if we pick ourselves up in the right way, we
Nick, that's exactly
I'm not sure
it.
how to explain it.
You are 100. That's why I'm doing this right there, is because I've been into this my whole life and I didn't know. I'm still learning. And there's so much out there. There's so many people that they're full of this incredible knowledge of how to live and change those patterns and to have amazing lives. Like so what you're talking about, when everything's flowing, that's what this is about. It's about understanding how to get yourself into the flow so that you're magically flowing. And so you feel connected and things are coming to you, right? And that is the best, funnest place to be in the whole world. But it takes work to get there, like like our body and eating. You have to manage it daily. And it's a muscle. The brain needs to be exercised and worked on. And I just don't think that we're being educated about any of this. And there's, it's not mainstream enough for me.
If anything, we're, I wouldn't say educated, but we're perhaps indoctrinated away from it. But yes, people are teaching themselves.
Yeah. And so what he does with the breath work is it comes up and then you hold the breath at the top of your, and so you're pulling all the way through all of the chakras, and you breathe in through your nose, and you take this long drink of water all the way to the top of your head, and then you hold it. And then he wants you to pull up from the base, your perineum, and pull up and in, and hold that breath, not like but as long as you can, and keep your focus on the very top of your head for as long as you can, till you feel like you're going to pass out and you can't take it anymore. And what's happening there is it's shaking the crystals off of that pineal gland that's all calcified over. This is where you're going to get your natural healing from. So he does, in all of his meditations, he brings this awareness and this awakening so that we can understand. And then when you do that, like you can change your state and your energy. Like you do 4 or 5 breaths like that, I actually have to be like,
Wow.
right? But honestly, God, it changes your day.
Okay,
Right?
so I want to write down what I did there, because I've actually tried that before. I've come across it before somewhere else, but I really got to keep doing that. I mean, it's difficult, but
I'm going to share this Joe Dispenza with you, because I'm telling you what, I'm not trying to put him up on a pedestal, because I know we're all equal. I'm not like that, but he healed himself in 8 weeks. He was back to work as a chiropractor and working out. He was hit on a bicycle on a triathlon and then dragged by the car for quite a ways. And all of his vertebrae were sandwiched, and he was paralyzed. They were putting him in a body cast, metal rod in his spine. And anyways, he knew what that meant. His life was pretty much over, as far as he could see, being an athlete and a doctor. So he said, no, I'm not going to do that. So what he did was he visualized and reconstructed his spine in his head every day. And then the thoughts would come in. Oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with my practice? How am I going to do? And he'd just stop it and he'd restart again. And he knew how the spine looked. So he would go vertebrae by vertebrae, and he would envision his spine whole as it is. And then he said, and then all of a sudden, one day, like after about 3 weeks of being able to do it, so this is meditation, right? Getting into the spot, he healed himself. He doesn't have any pain. He's back working out. He's like, it's an incredible story. And so I did an advanced course. I did a bunch of his courses, and then my husband and I did his advanced course when he came to Vancouver. And it was like climbing Mount Everest, but it was life-changing. I watched people get out of wheelchairs that had strokes, people that had MS, that could chew and drool, get up on the stage and had dinner with their group for the first time in their life. So once you let go of the thoughts that are holding us in the energy pattern, so what we think about, we get. So if we think we have this and then we focus on this, we manifest it. And we're not even sure, we're not even aware, because 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day in our subconscious mind, and 5% of the time we're conscious. So this takes work. It takes work to listen and pay attention. It's all, anyways, that's what I've been up to.
This sounds really transformational. I mean, if you're listening to this and you're just sort of not taking that seriously, like seriously, from the sounds of it, it's definitely worth exploring, because if you've got some sort of serious issue you've been dealing with for a long time, could be resolved. And what's the worst that could happen, you know?
You know what? All these people, cancers are gone. The healings that are happening, there's 1,000 people plus that go to his advanced courses, and we do healings. Like he teaches where we do like kind of like a healing for people. And I was blessed enough to be chosen for one of those when we were in Vancouver, and we were praying and doing a healing on children in Mexico, that like a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they're coming out. And the science is proving it, that the energy, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. So with my hypnagogic light, that's why I started to do the remote healings, because it's scientifically proven that that energy of me thinking and putting it there and that person is open to receive, you receive it all.
Okay,
So that's pretty phenomenal.
so do you want to talk about that then? Because I saw about, I know I've heard about that from you, and explain how it
So
works.
yeah. So after I did the Joe Dispenza course for the week, right? We were up at 6 a.m. doing walking meditation, power walking with, our 1,000 people on the waterfront. It was phenomenal. um, anyways, what happens is you raise your energy, your vibration. So I was so low. So your cells are carrying that story and that vibration. Then when we're with and in that energy for that many days, what happens is you come up out of that because you're lifted with so many. That it's a very powerful experience. And so I got home after that, and I started feeling like the flu, like bad flu. And one of my friends that I met there from Australia, she was like, "Oh, hey, da 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 da," and I was like, "I am just so sick." And she goes, "Oh, you've got the bio, well, they're calling it the Dispenza flu, but it's a biological upgrade is what happens." And I didn't understand it. I'd never heard of it. But what happens is your cells start dumping the old negative toxic energies because now they're filled with new higher vibrational energies. And that is a process that your body has to kind of release. So they actually shared with me, she did, Simone, and she said, "You got to come down." I went for this light, and I'm telling you what, it really was healing. And so it's called Lucia 0.3. It's a hypnagogic light. It is like you lay down, you put a meditation music on with your headphones, close your eyes. It's a white light with white strobing lights. Looks like a camera, like a round camera in the movies. And it sits in front of you and you just have a nice relaxing meditation. Well, once that light starts hitting your third eye, all of a sudden there's these incredible colors and kaleidoscopes and geometry, and it's yours. And it's what's actually real in the world. What we're seeing is the separation, the manifestation of things that we've thought have all come into form, right? Everything that you look at right now that we have was once just a thought, right?
So
And so now it's and because we're in third dimensional, right, with the gravity and everything, things come into, everything's energy.
we're
And
the
then it
ones
just comes
hallucinating.
forth.
Normal people, like when you're not seeing these visions, you're hallucinating. You're hallucinating it as simple or as merely 3D.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain what you see. I'm gonna put you under that light. I actually put one of our classmates last night under it, and she saw some color just through actually through the computer. So I'm gonna play with that a little bit more because the doctor that made it is I can't remember what his name is. That's lovely. Anyways, he died, and he came back to life. And through that, he developed this light. And it is what he experienced. And so what is happening is it's opening up your pineal gland. Again, the pineal gland is what we see that's marked in all of the, etched in stones and, what do they call that? Eye of Horus. The Eye of Horus.
Oh, yeah, the
And
Eye of Horus. You have the
I
hand
think it's
symbol.
situated kind of right. So your third eye is here and here. It's kind of sitting.
Is it the same as the Eye of Ra? Is that the same thing?
Is it? What did you say?
There's
Is
also
it the
something called
what?
the Eye of Ra. Is that the same thing?
Oh, probably because Ra is of one, right? Law of one is
Yeah, I
Ra. Is
suppose. I
that
mean, yeah, the Eye of Horus.
maybe? Yeah.
I don't know.
So when I went to Europe for the first time, I went on a Joe Dispenza 10-day Mediterranean cruise, which was a dream of a lifetime for me. um, going through the Vatican, and then I come to this one spot where there's an opening, and what do I see? But this huge pine cone, huge pine cone. Okay, so this is a very well understood and known thing that we've known for centuries, but for some reason our generation, let's say, knows nothing about it.
I would say that this knowledge was esoteric, as in probably elites knew about it and made sure that the people didn't know about it.
Well, they've made sure we don't know about it because it's where our natural pharmacy is. We don't need any pharmaceuticals. We have it all inside, but we don't have access to it anymore. For some reason, it's calcified over. So the breath work shakes the crystals off, and this is, I guess, where the Kundalini, and I didn't know about any of this stuff. I'm just still a student as well in all of this, but it's, we're just a part of this universe. And I know that so many of my friends, the ego, we think that we're separate. We think,
Yeah.
using what we're supposed to be using to serve and to build the life that, of abundance and joy and love. So I guess that's the contrast, right? We live in our universe is polarized, right? So we always are having the clarity and the contrast. But I guess if we didn't have that, it'd just be a sunny day all the time, and we wouldn't grow and expand, I guess.
What we've been living in, it was like that for a reason. And we're moving to something new now for a reason.
Yes.
Now, those who are self-serving can try to stop it if they want. All they can do is at most delay the inevitable. And even that I'm not sure about. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. And what a great thing to learn about than how to work our body properly for the greater good, so that we can feel fabulous. And then when we're in that energy place, then we're sharing that energy to the people around us, right? Like when you're with somebody who's happy, you feel happy. You want to be around that person. They're magnetic, right? When you're with somebody who's always like, lows, me. Let me tell you my story about, we want to share our horror stories. And you know what? It's just such a disservice to us if we don't know that by doing that, we just are in that lower energy field that is below the heart area. And it is attracting more of that same. And we don't know, we're just unaware that if we just don't focus on that story, and we focus on the story or we focus on what good came out of that story. Like for me, out of all that horrible stuff, here's my daughter. I had a miracle happen in the middle of a shitstorm of my life. Right?
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Though, how do we deal with the negative emotion we've got built up? And how do we heal that or transmute it or let go of it in a healthy way?
So meditation, going within, because it's the only, everybody, I believe, not everybody, but we're all looking outside for something to fix us. We're grabbing the vitamins, we're grabbing the this, we're looking, everybody's outside looking for something to put within. We already have everything within ourselves, and we just need to go within. But it's hard. It takes, I know for myself, meditating to quiet the mind, it took me years. Like I would try and find like how many seconds in between a thought I could get while I was driving.
It's hard,
because yeah, but with practice, like going to the gym, like eating healthy, we have to just look at it like that. It's brain health. And then as soon as we shift that and we start finding some space, that's when we invite in new experiences, and then that's where we can create and dream from.
Can I
right? And just keep getting the same old.
Can I ask you something? Well, you finished what you're saying.
No, I'm good. Please.
So when I try not to think, and I'm trying to, when I'm seeing how long I can last without thinking, like I find there's almost like this mental tightness to stop it happening. And I feel like, am I doing it wrong if I'm feeling that? Or is that
Right.
it?
So yeah, because you're creating, so then when we're trying, we're putting resistance. So we're getting more of what we don't want, right? When we think we don't want that, the universe doesn't know right or wrong, good or bad.
How
It
do we
just
do
knows
it then? How do we not think without trying not to think?
the
We're still
heart-brain
not thinking.
coherence. Heart-brain coherence. So heart math, I'd love for you to look into it. Heart math is uh, it's incredible. So when you're breathing, if you breathe and you breathe into your heart, um, and so you create this brain heart coherence. This is probably one of the most powerful things that we can do. Like this is where you can get the instant healing.
So we
This is what,
focus our mind on our heart and
yeah.
we
So you
breathe
breathe
in
into
as
your
if we're
heart.
breathing into our heart.
And opening your heart, because most of us, you know, when your day starts getting crummy and people are just, it's because our heart chakra's been closed. That energy center, the back of it's closed up. So we intentionally need to just go within and just close your eyes and just breathe and just start expanding your heart. And there's many, many techniques like breathing in for 3 and then pause. The pause stops the thought, and then out for 4, pause. In for 3, pause. Out for 4, pause.
Do you get
Abraham
tingling when
Hicks.
you do it?
What's that?
When you do these breathing exercises, do you start to get this tingling feeling like in your head or different parts of your body, like as you're
When I'm doing the heavy
like
duty,
do you almost like feel your frequency raising after doing some breathing in a meditation, like literally like a physical tingling? Because that's
yeah,
what I feel.
yeah. Which is because we're not getting the proper, we're all shallow breathing. Like if you stop kind of through the day and just check into your breath, you're probably just breathing here. I know that I am. And even with the awareness, I'll stop and I'll be like, okay, I'm just breathing into here. So we're not oxygenating our body even because we're rushing, we're in our head, we're just not here. We're just not in the present moment. And so to you know, to watch the thoughts go by like clouds is another thing, right? It's just there's so many different techniques. There's so many guided meditations on YouTube that, you know, you can put on. You can put on the subliminal ones at night that help you with confidence, clearing negative energy. I mean, I I did a year-long coaching course called Mind, Body, Spirit, and I was, I've been really blessed. I seem to have these incredible teachers that land in my pathway. And so Dr. Devi and Lynette Brown, they taught me how. It was an intense, very difficult thing for me because I wasn't functioning properly at that time. Being a hairdresser for 30 years, I don't have the computer skills. I'm a very creative, artistic girl. I'm not the left brain girl. I have dyslexia very bad, which I gifted to my children, unfortunately. And so writing and proper grammar and that kind of stuff, it's a challenge for me. It doesn't come easy. I have to really work at it. When my brain wasn't functioning. Anyways, I had to go on Zoom and hold meetings, and it was the most life-changing thing. So I was doing the Dr. Joe stuff. I was doing the Mind, Body, Spirit coaching course because to learn is to teach. If you teach somebody what you know and what you're learning, and Dr. Joe says that you learn something, if you turn and explain it to somebody after you've learned it right then, and then maybe you write it down, or you need to keep it in your head a few times for you to know it, for you to absorb it. Otherwise, it kind of comes in and then it's gone. And you didn't really understand it. So he'll have, when he's doing his talks, he'll be like, okay, now turn to your neighbor and introduce yourself as a genius and explain to them what you understood there. He's a gift. He's a leader. He's really, really, he's changed so many people's lives. It's ridiculous. He's all over the world. anyways, I was on my bathroom floor. Brian Rose was bringing some great stuff on his content on his podcasts, and I was blessed because I found another avenue of information that I love, like the energies of the universe and how we're connected and how we can. It's fascinating to me for some reason. Anyways, I got to just delve into it. I probably did thousands of hours in my bathroom, healing, meditating, learning, writing. It's my passion. It always has been. And I just want to share and try to bring those people to mainstream, like to people that I love and know that have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm saying energies and this, that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You want to help people like you've been helped, and
Yeah.
That's I want to say something good about it, but I didn't want to say. No, I just I bet your bathroom has a really high energy vibe, now.
There's something about it. And my husband, I'm sure and my kids, we're just in her bathroom, right? I guess because I could close the door, I felt secure in there. And it was kind of, I didn't feel safe, I guess.
I'm just thinking, just because of all the, all the meditation and stuff you've watched there.
Yeah.
So you mentioned on your website, actually not on your podcast, you mentioned the work of Michael Singer. What can you tell us about him?
Okay, love Michael Singer. The Untethered Soul. I watched Oprah interview him, and he explains and teaches you how to start to unwind those thoughts, like how to take charge of those 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day that we're unconsciously having, that were probably the same thoughts we had yesterday and the day before that probably aren't even the truth. And usually they're scaring us and causing us to worry about something that probably is never going to happen, but might happen if we keep thinking about it, because we'll manifest it. It's just silly.
Yeah, I think that happened to me. Yeah,
it happens to all of us. We're all the same. So I think that's just me, which we all do. And then we don't share it because we think that that's just me. Everybody else's life's functioning properly. Well, you know what? It's not. We're all one. We're all just looking separate right now, but we're a collective consciousness, right? And we're here to learn to love ourselves.
Did you say you interviewed him? Did you say you interviewed Michael Singer?
I'm going to. I would love to. No, but I've been reading. I read. When we're doing our podcast group, I needed to get some content on there, and then one of the things was for us to do, practice doing that. I'd never done any selfies or videos of myself before. I didn't even have a picture of myself by myself. So there I was trying to set up platforms at 3 a.m, taking pictures, trying to take a selfie of myself. Yeah. I need to go get some pictures properly done for my web stuff or whatever. But anyways, so I bought that book for everybody. When I buy a book, I think everybody has to have it if it touches me, right? And he just simply explains it, what's happening. You got your inner roommate, blah, 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 blah. And it's not you, and so he explains it like you're the listener. You're the soft one inside, right? The one that's rapping on and da-da-da-da-da. These are thoughts that you just, sometimes if you think about, once you start to watch and be the watcher of it, it's disturbing at first, just so you know, because I had no idea that I was having those thoughts or thinking those things. And damn, it's a good thing that we get out of bed in the morning, because we're usually beating ourselves up. And I don't know why.
You didn't know what you were thinking. Did you suddenly start hearing the thoughts?
No, because we're busy doing our life, but our brain is constantly running these stories.
But you didn't hear them.
I think that we're just unconscious of them. So it's the unconscious part of our brain, right? The subconscious, and then there's the conscious. And
so you suddenly started hearing these thoughts.
Well, you have to. So how he teaches you how, again, which is what's great. So he tells you, so right now, Nick, do this. So say hello.
What, in my head or verbally?
Like,
Hello.
so yeah, say hello out loud.
Hello.
Okay, now was there a part of you that heard you say hello?
Oh, sorry again. Hello. Wow.
Who said hello? Who was listening? There was a part of you inside that was listening to hello, right?
Hello. Hello. So it wasn't the part of me that said hello?
So who heard you say hello? You heard you say hello though at the same time as you were saying hello, right?
Yeah.
He explains it better. So that's why I read their stuff, because so he explains that if you say hello, there's somebody who's listening to you say hello, and then there's the part of you that's saying hello. You're the
Okay.
listener.
So
You're
the master and the emissary, the left brain and right brain kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and
Right.
yeah, the subconscious, 95% of the time we're not conscious. We're not aware of our thoughts.
It's the
5%
superconscious.
of the time we are.
Well,
So that's why we go back into the patterns.
I don't know. I'm aware of having thoughts very regularly, and I very regularly feel like I would rather have less of them now. But I used to think I just was those thoughts.
Yes.
So I don't know if I'm aware of more of them than most people are, or if I just have more of them.
You might be aware that you're having more. Like you're an awakened person, right? Some people,
I don't know how, but we can. But yeah,
they're young souls and they just don't even know. They're not ready to hear or understand that. It doesn't make any sense to them. Whereas
so they're just acting based on it, not really that aware of it. You know, it reminds me. There are some people in the spiritual awakening community or great awakening community, whatever. They claim that they think there are that there are people out there that don't have souls, that are just like philosophical zombies. I don't like that idea. I don't really buy it, because it could just be young souls, and then they're not it's actually dehumanizing them without realizing. Also, oh, they're just not actually have souls at all. Like,
oh, come on. Well, they wouldn't be here, right? We're our body's just the vehicle we're driving.
but the idea
right?
is that, oh, it's part of the
Still
simulation.
the same age. I'm 54 now. I'm sorry, I still feel like I'm 17 some days, right? 27 usually. You know, you just feel like you're not, how you feel inside is the same. I mean, you have more wisdom, but it's just the body, the vehicle that you're driving that's aging and moving through time, but who you are inside, the essence, the energy inside is your soul. And we're all of course they have a soul. Everybody, we're all anyways.
Yeah, I didn't need to mention
I think
that.
there's all kinds of weird stuff up there, but
Right. So you mentioned the left. Well, we talked about the left and the right brain. You talked about the part that listens and the part that speaks. So you mentioned the divine feminine on your website.
yes.
What role does
Divine
that have
feminine
for
is
men and
how-
women?
Sorry, I have this problem where I overspeak. Say the last part again.
So what role does the divine feminine have with women, but also with men?
Oh, huge. So what my understanding is that the divine feminine is just awakening. I'm taking a course from Elizabeth Wilcox right now, and she is amazing woman. She is Qigong master, 5-time black belt, Kung Fu. I'm just not even doing her any justice giving you her history at this moment. But she, at 18, became a shaman. I really connect with her because she just knew that she was kind of different, wasn't the same as everybody else, but she went and fulfilled her life, and she became a shaman. She just kind of met the right people and developed herself in this deep spiritual way. So I'm doing a class about the divine feminine, and my understanding is that the divine feminine is just awakening now on the planet. I, through the work that I've done over the last 3 years, realized that I live very much in the masculine, um,
Yeah.
and the warrior, and ready to fight, and just and not even knowing or being aware of that,
Is
right?
this
It's
like
so,
the tarot, but the
I
energies
feel
that affect us, like in relation to the planets as well, maybe at the same time?
all of it, all of it,
I
all of it.
heard someone channeling online, someone channeled the Arcturians, and the Arcturians are saying that most that most women are at the moment have how to put it, but basically suppressed feminine
Yeah.
energies that, and that, well, I guess what you're talking about seems to be this is changing now.
Well, and the men too, right? Because we all have the masculine and feminine to be in balance, right? Like the left and the right brain. And like it's we need to have both to be in balance, right? And mostly it's been the masculine for all of us. And for women going to Europe for the first time, um, I really saw, it wasn't that long ago that we were down in the dungeons. uh, we weren't allowed in the Colosseums, and watching and getting all the history of, boy, like I'm in a time and place where women are really just being able to have equality.
What do you
I
think?
mean, we know that growing up, but when you're not of that era, and you even coming in would be even less than. But it's not that long ago where women are nothing, right? They're just, and so those patterns are still playing into today without us even knowing, because
Was
that's
yeah, like religion, for example, became much more sky father orientated. Um, ever since, especially with the Indo-Europeans, of which a lot of the religions, so even in India, are influenced by it, from all the way to um, much of Europe, even like Central Asia to some extent, like the,
yes, yes,
and like whereas before it was more maternal. So yeah, that said, some have argued that the like feminism in it has in some ways had the effect of it has put forth the idea of women being empowered, but in a way that was them embodying male energy even more.
yes, 100%. And I realized I was doing that. I mean, I was a single mom when I was younger a couple of times. Just, and so you take on this masculine energy, and not having a relationship with my dad, I had male issues. And so really just working through all that and understanding, you're 100% right. So these women have come up, and here we are. So now we have to run the house because we decided that we wanted to have a career and be equal. So now we have a career, so we're equal, but now we're still trying to run the house and the children and the this and the that. And then we're angry, right? It's all male energies, right? But apparently the female feminine divine is just making a movement into our energies. And so I don't know that it actually has been there for us to embrace. I'm still kind of learning
I've
about
got a
that,
question.
but yeah,
How do you think this has affected male female social interactions in society?
it's huge.
Because like this is maybe a sensitive issue, but I there are certainly men saying that they feel uncomfortable with what women are often like these days. And you could be dismissed as sexism, but that I do feel that, and also that maybe a lot of men are lost as well in their own way. I don't know if it's not fully embodying their masculinity or something else going on, but there's a dysfunction between men and women, and especially in millennials and Generation Z. And I do feel it might be related to this, the imbalance of male and female energies, and that
Got
hopefully
it.
that should be rebalanced.
That's fabulous that you just said that, because that is exactly what's going on. And so I understand that stuff, and I'm working through that stuff and have a deeper understanding, because of where the situation I was in. Most people aren't doing that kind of work, right? And so nobody's really conscious about, but it is. I see it in my home, right? So my husband is, he takes care. He's the provider. He's the goes out and brings home, and he likes to be, he was a mommy's boy. He likes to be looked after, right? Well, I grew up in a house where my mom was a career woman, and she made more money, or had to make, or did make the money, because my dad was a jazz pianist. And unless you're getting big time or whatever, how the arts industry just doesn't pay the big money unless you get real famous, right? So um, anyways, so I have that as a role model, and so I tend to or realize that I follow in her footsteps, doing kind of the workaholic and the provider, and I don't need to do that anymore. And he loves to be that provider, but then I feel that if I'm not doing that, coming from workaholic parents, I'm not enough. I'm not worthy.
I
And
had a work.
so,
No, sorry, carry on.
anyways, but I think that it throws my husband off, because he wants, because it's not, it's the way, it's not, it's been exactly how you've said for so long. And now all of a sudden there's this big change that's happening, but it feels uncomfortable. It's not a normal, it hasn't been that way, right? For centuries. It's a new thing. And so, yeah, 100%, we need to work that out, because I think that it is a problem in relationships.
But what we're coming into now is something we haven't had for a long time, because it's a rebalancing of the energies, where there's the female energies manifesting fully, but without like sexism, without like women. Well, I suppose most people treated badly, really. But anyway, it's more about the imbalance of energies and how that man. I suppose if everything is energetic, that's probably more the energy was unbalanced, and that manifested in certain ways in our societies than the other way around.
Yeah.
Because
I,
yeah,
I think that that's really well said, because that is exactly what's happening, whether you're aware of it or not. Most people aren't, but that is really playing itself out right now, for sure. And yeah, yeah, your age group would be interesting to hear, um, just kind of how that is playing out with relationships and stuff. If it's, um, yeah. Anyways, another whole conversation, but
yeah.
yeah. So anyways, I think the only way for us to go within and take charge of our life is we have to learn to meditate. We have to learn to quiet the mind, and it takes practice. And best time is first thing in the morning. Joe does 4 o'clock in the morning. He gets up and does, because you're in between that sleepy, because you got to get yourself into theta.
Right. So before you shower and eat breakfast, meditate.
Yes.
Okay, I need to change that, because I've been doing that after that stuff. And all right.
Yeah. So as soon as you wake up, there's like a minute there where you have no thoughts still.
Well, I
And
mean, it's nice that you have no thoughts in that minute, because I'm pretty sure, I don't know. I feel that I often have negative thoughts within the first 20 seconds, which is unpleasant. But it might be because of certain things I went through. I don't
no,
know.
I think it's everybody. See that, right? So we think it's just us. It's not just us. It's people are experiencing it, and they don't know how to deal with it. And there's you know what? The medication is a Band-Aid. It's enough with the medication, right? It's not helping us. It's just causing other problems. Take this medication, and if you experience a heart attack, and this and this and this, and and you can't breathe anymore, then call your doctor. it's not helping us. We need to go within and activate our systems and understand how to use our bodies in a way that assists us in life, instead of, I think we're all just walking around and not knowing. We don't know.
Right. Yeah, I suppose the pills we take, it plasters over the issue while we've got all this chaos beneath the surface. I mean, I think it's a so like Jungian psychology kind of talks about it a bit, where we repress a lot of things in society, and his analysis of what was going on with Germany was that around World War II, or prior to it, is that this repression was most intense there, where they repressed a lot and were more neurotic because of that, and projecting negativity onto other people more. Now, fast forward, it's probably like that across the West. We're very left brain focused.
Yeah.
So,
but you see that,
yes,
look at the history of that, like just what you're saying, right? It's right. We need to change, we need to change it. And apparently, if we go in and do the work to change the thought patterns that aren't even the truth, that are making us sick and creating stress and creating more, like you're thinking that, you're feeling that, you're going to get more of it. It's going to look different. It's going to look like a different story in disguise, because it's like the shadow, but it's just of the same energies, right?
right.
We're just going to get more shit coming our way.
So we all do the shadow work, and if enough people do it, society fundamentally transforms. And it's already starting to happen. It's just that when you do shadow work, you see more of the shadow, and it can be terrifying to deal with.
Yes.
All the things come to the surface.
It's just a thought. It's not real. And so that's what I tell myself all the time, right? Is it's not real. Like when I start going, I'm just like, checking in the mirror sometimes is really good for me, because I can get lost in my thoughts. Abraham Hicks, a great way, if you're having, where it starts to think, you count backwards from 10. You can't think and count backwards at the same time. So if you start to get into a story that creates negative energy, and you're like, oh, and then all of a sudden you're starting to feel tense, 10, 9, 8. So I do this.
Say it or think it.
So you say it out loud, you can think it doesn't matter. You can't think and count backwards at the same time.
Oh, you just said you can think it though.
But if you Abraham Hicks, they explain that if you have that negative thought, if you don't clear it or do something, in 17 seconds, you're going to have another one just like it, and another one, and another one. And a lot of times we have energy blocks in our body. That's why we get the cancers.
That's good to know. Oh, is that miasma?
Sorry,
is that miasma?
Is that your what?
Miasma.
Your asthma.
No, miasma, like MIASMA. Never mind. It's a sort of oh, don't worry about it. It's something I've heard some say that it's linked to the negativity we hold within us. Anyway,
so those negative thoughts and those negative feelings, even though they feel uncomfortable because we've labeled them uncomfortable, they're just uncomfortable because we've labeled them uncomfortable, right? They're meant to just pass through us, right? So you just notice it, and then you just breathe and let it go through. It just takes a minute, right? And then it's gone. But instead, we clench down, and then we block it, and we hold it in our body. And then now we're going to get another one and more just like that hurt and don't feel good. And then it accumulates, and there are energy blockages that are happening in these energy centers in our body. So that's why they say if you can get to the heart chakra and above, you will release those lower energy toxic patterns that are in your cells of the negative thoughts that we've had for generations, right? A lot of times we're coming in with these energies that are already from our parents and their parents, and if we do this work, we can heal 6 generations back and 6 generations forward.
Hmm.
It's worth doing the work. Just to feel good, just to feel happy and in charge and have fun with manifesting and creating your day, right? Instead of the thoughts that we're thinking about that aren't feeling good. That's the work. That's the daily work. But if you can set your intention first thing in the morning before you get out of bed, today I'm gonna have a great day. Today you kind of know what your day looks like, and you just kind of foresee yourself like, I'm gonna go here, and just see yourself kind of touching there, and how you want to be and how you want to feel. You just want to be light, and then ask for, and this is where you know that the universe works. Ask for something to show you something that to bring you something really good that will be a surprise, that then you will know that the energies are working with you.
All right. So,
and it works like a hot damn, and it's really fun, right? It's a great way to live our lives instead of unconsciously, and then in these old stories that we're not aware that we're even in.
yeah. So if you wake up, maybe you've had a bad dream, maybe not, whatever. You start off with this hint of negativity. You can stop it in its tracks by doing what you described.
Count backwards, first of all, to clear it.
Yeah.
Right. So and maybe count backwards a couple of times. Depends how long you've been spiraling in that thought, right? But then all of a sudden you'll feel that the energy is clear. You can feel the clearing of energy. The thought isn't there. So now you're not feeling negative. And then you intentionally think. Okay, what do I want? How do I want to feel? And what am I creating? How do I want the rest of my day to look? It is powerful stuff, but you got to be aware, and you got to be diligent. And then at the end of the day, check in and say, how many wins did I have today? Okay, well, maybe I only had 3, but focusing on the fact that, you know what? Yeah, I went unconscious and I had this, but out of that, this happened. And just focus on, I got that today, this happened. Maybe it's just brushing your teeth. Maybe you just brushed your teeth and had a cup of coffee, and those were your benefits of the day. But to end your day like that, it's really powerful. And when I do that, boy, my life it's so much better. But it's the first thing that'll go. I'll forget. I just go unconscious, and then like the gym, all of a sudden I can't make it. It's just that self-destruct pattern that I know happens for myself.
Okay. So, I mean, this is really powerful stuff. And honestly, I thought everyone listening to this, unless they already know it, is going to benefit. So perhaps you're underestimating the benefit of this.
Yeah, because you know what, we can be like we have our own natural high. If we can tap in and be in the flow all the time, there's no better feeling than that. There's nothing better than that.
It's true. All right. Oh yeah.
And all of the other stuff, when you find yourself telling a story about so-and-so did this, and just say to yourself, it's not true. It's not true. Stop. Like, you literally have to become your friend. Like, you've got a roommate, is how Michael Singer says it. This is your inner roommate, the one that's the nonstop talking, blah, 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 right? That's your roommate. It's the annoying roommate. So it's, but you have to become friends with it, because it's not going anywhere. That roommate ain't moving out.
Well, thanks a lot for this. You provided a lot of inspirational stories and helpful insight. Very helpful insight.
Thank you for having me and letting me share it with you. I love this, my passion. I love this stuff. I think it's just, I don't know, how can you not love that stuff? It's empowering, and people can heal themselves, and we just don't know how, because changing your thoughts is not an easy thing, right? But there are so many tools now that make it easy.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.